Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to briefly review a few different lights for mountain biking, ranging in price from very cheap to pretty expensive. Specifically, this review is going to cover the Solar Storm, which costs about $30 and is supposedly 2,000 lumens. The Fenix BC30, which costs $100, but you also need to buy batteries and a charger, so the total cost will be $170 plus probably for you. The Fenix is supposed to be 1800 lumens, but it's really only 1200 because of the way there's this boost mode, which you'll never use. The other lights I'll review are the Serfas TSL LT1000, which costs $200 and is 1000 lumens. And 1000 lumens is kind of the minimum I'd recommend for mountain biking. The Serfas TSL 2500 costs a whopping $425 and is 2500 lumens. Definitely the brightest of the comparison, but very expensive. Here's a comparison of the four lights on their highest settings in my basement. The Solar Storm is the least bright. The Fenix and smaller Serfas have a similar brightness, but the Fenix has a much wider beam pattern, which is really nice. And the larger Serfas light is the best by far. But I do think they're all adequate for riding in the woods. Now, every year I get a bunch of comments on all of my cheap light reviews, and there's three recurring ones. Number one is the batteries on those lights are cheap and they are crap. And I have to agree with you, they are, but they will last a year. They probably won't last 2 years, and I'll talk more about that later. The second comment I get a lot is those cheap lights can't possibly be the number of claimed lumens, and that is also true. But they are still pretty bright. And the third comment I get a lot is, you're an idiot, you're going to blind people with those lights. All of these lights have high, medium, and low beams, and if you're going to use them in traffic, don't use high, use low or medium. I looked up what a car headlight is supposed to be, and it's around 700 lumens. So I think if you dim them down to the point where they're that bright and point them down a little bit, you'll be fine. Okay, on with the review. First, the Solar Storm. This is a nice little light. 2,000 lumens is obviously overstated, but I bet it's at least 700. It's pretty bright. Some of my friends bought this version of the light last year. Others bought a 3-bulb version of the same light. They're almost the exact same cost, so I would probably opt for the 3-bulb version if I were to buy it. Everyone loved the light last year, but one guy got back to me this year and said his Solar Storm was fine last year, but his battery life this year sucks, and it's probably lasting half as long as it lasted last year. He seemed a little miffed about that, and now he's looking at the Serfas lights, but my whole point in these videos is you're going to spend $30 for a light instead of $200 to $425. And if you think about it, a $30 light, you could buy one every year for 7 years and spend just around $200. Or it would take 14 years of buying one light a year to buy as many as the more expensive Serfas. I don't think the batteries in the Serfas lights will last 7 to 14 years, and by that time, light technology is going to change so much. Who cares about those lights? So I still would recommend the Solar Storm, but you got to just think of it as being disposable. Okay, I am not actually going to use that light this year. I'm going to use the Fenix BC30. I didn't expect to buy a new light this year because I was pretty happy with my Skyray 6000 flashlight and strapping it onto my bicycle stem, but I bought a Garmin 810 bike computer that mounts right where my flashlight used to sit, and I have been unsuccessful in remounting my flashlight somewhere else. So I really like having no separate battery pack and having replaceable batteries so that when you're out on the trail and your light gets low, you can pop in new batteries and keep going for as long as you want. I also have quite an investment in 18650 batteries as well as a Nightcore IntelliCharger i4. So someone commented on one of my previous videos that I ought to look at the Fenix BC30 bike light, and I bought one and I absolutely love it. It takes 18650 batteries. However, it did not come with the batteries or a charger, so I had to buy those separately. But I like the light a lot, and I have infinite runtime because I can just swap the batteries in and out during a ride. It's really easy to mount. It comes with a thumb screw for mounting to your bars, so no tools are required. It mounts on the new 31.8 bars as well as the 25.4 bars without any shims at all. But it might be a little less secure on 25.4 bars than it is on 31.8s. It is easy to slide on and off when not in use or when you have to change the batteries. However, it is a bitch to change the batteries. They do not come out of the holder easily at all. There are slots to push the batteries out, but my fingers are too fat to actually do that. So I have to struggle and use my fingertips and whatever to really try to get it out. And also, when I'm putting the batteries back in, I cannot read the plus minus direction of the batteries. I wish that was colored on some sort, like white lettering or something, but it's not. Anyway, it takes quite a bit of force to close this thing back up, but other than that, the light is fantastic. It can be angled to accommodate an offset or bars that aren't straight forward. To turn it on, you press and hold this button for 2 seconds. To turn it off, you do the same. To switch between modes, you push and release. It says it does 1800 lumens, which is totally misleading. It only does 1800 lumens if you attach this cord to the light and press and hold that button down. When you let up on the button, it goes back to 1200 lumens. So I'll never use that stupid little cord, even though it is pretty easy to attach to your bicycle. But basically, this light does 1200 lumens max, but I think it's an honest 1200 lumens. It's not like the other one where it says it's 2000 and it's probably 700. I bought Ultrafire batteries from batteryjunction.com last year for my other light and was going to use them in this light, but several of them actually died over the summer, I guess, or over the year. So I bought some Nitecore batteries, which weren't cheap, and none of them have died, but I haven't had them as long. I do love my Nitecore i4 intelligent charger. So I'm pretty happy with this setup. Anyway, that's my main light for this year. The whole setup isn't nearly as cheap as the $30 Solar Storm. All totaled, I probably spent around $100 for the light, $37 for 2 batteries, $35 for the charger, although the charger is down to $14 this year for some reason. So I was spending around $170, but you probably will be able to spend maybe $150. But I actually spent more because I bought extra batteries. So a friend of mine has these 2 Serfas lights, and this one is a monster. Just amazingly bright. And it comes with a nice case. This is the battery pack. And it all mounts somewhere close to your handlebars. And it's just incredibly bright. So I will show you that in a second. The other light that he has is for your helmets. Another nice battery pack. This looks like it's only 2 18650 batteries. This looks like it's 4. And he's got to plug it in the charger. This he uses on his helmet. This is the helmet strap. Let me just turn that on. Hold to shut off. So one thing I do recommend when you're riding at night is to always have 2 lights in case one dies. And I am still using this El Cheapo light that just takes one 18650 battery. And if it runs out, I can put another one in there. All I do is strap this onto my helmet. And unfortunately, I can't strap it onto my newest helmet, which is a Casque Vertigo, which I should do a review on this because this is a really nice helmet. So I have to go back to my old Specialized helmet, which has holes in it in the right places. And this is another thing. The new Scott helmets with the honeycomb in here, people are having trouble mounting lights on their helmets because of that, because most helmets either have a strap of some kind or post that goes in and then you tighten. So to put this on my helmet, all I do is put it as far back as I can get it, and just take this Velcro strap and strap it on, and it holds amazingly well. Having the light on top of your helmet gives you the ability to look at your derailleur if you hear something stuck in it or you hear strange noises in the woods. You can turn your head and look over and see what it is, and you can look around corners when you're taking corners. So that's my setup. This on the helmet, this on the bike handlebars, and an unlimited supply of batteries. 18650 batteries work in both. If they die, both lights are still viable. You don't have to go searching around for some strange battery pack with the right connector. This is the Solar Storm on low, medium, high, and off. So low, medium, high, and off. It's much more of a spot than the other one. So this is the Fenix 1200 on low, medium, high. That's the 1200 lumen version, which is how I would probably use this most of the time. And that is quite bright and quite a wide pattern, which is very nice. Now I'm going to take and press the button for turbo. Turbo off, turbo on. Not a huge difference. So I really can't see riding with turbo with the extra strap at all. Pretty good light pattern, nice and even. A little bit brighter in the center than the edges, but definitely very, very good illumination on the edges. So this is the small Serfas. That's high. It's kind of a round spot. It's not as wide as the Fenix. That was high. This is medium. That's low. And that's really low. It's still brighter than low on the Fenix. And that's back to high. So this is the beam pattern of my real cheap light. That's low, flicker, slow flicker, high. It's really not too bad, but it's not as wide as my other one. But it's pretty bright for such a cheap, inexpensive light. Okay, this is the larger Serfas light. That's high. All four lights are lit. Medium. Not much different. Low, still pretty bright. Lower, still reasonably bright. And back to high.